same as internal IP address, public is the same as external. People use the terms interchangeably. And the last step was just making the point that you could add a VM to multiple VPCs. So a VM has to be on at least one VPC, but he can be on multiple VPCs, right? Again, it's not common, but there is a use case, particularly for security, when my VM is running some sort of security appliance, right? So that's what they were kind of showing you at the end there with the multiple interfaces, right? Okay, so just before we finish up today, I just want to mention one topic, and that is about VPNs, right? So basically, VPNs is an example of what is called hybrid networking in Google Cloud. So hybrid networking in Google Cloud is when I want to connect my Google Cloud VPC to either an on-premises network or to another cloud network, or indeed even to another Google Cloud VPC, right? So VPN, Cloud VPN is the service in Google Cloud that implements site-to-site VPN, because there's different types of VPN. Maybe some of you are familiar with the remote access VPN. That's more like a VPN you use as an individual to kind of, often to get around geo blocks and things like that. But a site-to-site VPN is a logical connection between, as I said, let's say Google Cloud VPC and an on-premises network. And that effectively uses basically it sends encrypted packets across the internet, right? So VPNs have been around a long time, and as long as I have a compatible device in my on-prem network, I can connect it to Google Cloud, right? Now, the other thing that I want to do is I also have to configure a service called Cloud Router, right? Cloud Router makes use of a networking protocol called BGP, right? So what BGP is if there's a new subnet added at either end of the VPN, it will automatically inform the other guy that there's a new subnet, right? So BGP is how different networks learn about changes to networks, right? So it's just an administrative requirement when you configure a high availability VPN that you also have to configure a BGP service. Now, the way you implement BGP in Google Cloud is you configure a service called Cloud Router, right? So don't let the name mislead you. Cloud Router is a BGP service in Google Cloud, right? So once you've got BGP configured, that way, if there's any changes to the network, either in the on-prem network or the VPC network, I have a BGP service in Google Cloud with Cloud Router, and I have a BGP service configured on-prem, and they can inform each other about any network changes that have taken place, right? So that is called dynamic discovery, right? Where basically you as an administrator do not have to tell the VPN about these new networks. They find out about it automatically via BGP, right? So it's just a requirement when you're configuring the high availability VPN between sites that you also configure Cloud Router to give you that BGP capability, right? And again, on your learning path, there's a lab where you implement a high availability VPN, actually between two Google Cloud VPCs in the lab example. But again, we won't do it now. Okay, so what we're going to do on Friday is we will resume when we talk about load balancing, and we'll also revisit managed instance groups, which was the topic at the end of module 1. Remember, I said hold that over till we discuss load balancing because they all kind of fit together there. But we won't begin that today. We will begin that on Friday. So remember, there's no session tomorrow. And the next session, session 4, is on Friday, right? Okay, so sorry, there's a question here. Can we change VPC while using a VM? No, if you want to change the VPC, if you want to connect your VM to a different VPC, you have to stop the VM and change it that way. You can't do it while the VM is run.